Ever been in one of those situations where things are going so good in your life? You got the girl of your dreams, you got the job of your dreams, you got everything going for you, and then you do some dumb shit, and it all comes crashing down. This, my friends, is called self-sabotage, and many people in entrepreneurship and life in general do this to themselves. I've uncovered the mechanics behind it, why we do it, and in this video, we're gonna dive in and teach you how to stop it from happening. My Astroflipping community, every Sunday we do a theory call where I dive into some mindset related situation or phenomenon that we need to be aware of so that we can observe it and then transform it. Right? We need to be aware of what's going on with us before we can fix what's happening with us. Self-sabotage is one of these things that we're not really aware is happening because we don't realize we're doing it to ourselves. And what's really interesting about self-sabotage is it's usually brought on by a positive event. Isn't that messed up? Something good happens and it makes you do something bad. It's crazy to me that your brain, in trying to protect you, is going to create stories, justifications, and patterns that are literally putting you on the pathway to destruction. And you think it's a damn good idea. It's like walking into the middle of the freeway in rush hour and you're like, nothing's gonna happen to me. Well, dude, that's not how it works. Even in my life, man, I've sabotaged myself. There was an opportunity that I had, there was a time in my life that I had a really, really big thing happen for me. You know, I was feeling super good about it and I was just excited. I was excited about the opportunity. I was excited about all of the new experiences, money, people that were gonna be coming into my life because of it. So what do? I go get a DUI. Yep. I go get a DUI that ends up landing me in the pokey for a couple of days. And it sucked, man. And I could have completely derailed the situation. I could have completely derailed the blessing and ruined not only this situation and opportunity for me, but for the people that were a part of my life and are a part of my life still. That was the day that I realized that there is a treacherous MFer living in here, and I gotta understand the way it thinks. So watch this video, guys, because I go through the mechanics of how self-sabotage happens, how you can realize it's happening to you, and what you can do about it. Self-sabotage. Ooh, what a treacherous thing we can be to ourselves. And I wanna highlight this because every single one of us has, in some way, shape, or form in our lives, committed an act of self-sabotage. And what's really interesting about it is that you would imagine that if you are acting on yourself, that you would act in your best interest, that you would do things that would be beneficial to you, that would help get you farther in life, that would allow you to find more pleasure rather than avoid pain, right? That would be the default. You would think that, hey, I'm a self-interested animal. I really want to gain. I want to get further along in life. I want to do better. I want more money. I want better relationships. I want to be healthier. And so you would imagine that you would take steps and actions towards achieving those things, right? That sounds very reasonable as something that we should do. However, the exact opposite ends up happening more often than not, right? And the places that we find ourselves self-sabotaging typically are in career, relationships, as well as health, right? And for myself, guys, I've struggled in all aspects of my life where I've self-sabotaged myself, and I didn't come to the realization that I was doing it until after the fact. But typically, self-sabotage is triggered by positivity. What an incredible thing to realize, that something good happens, right? You get put up for a promotion at your job. You join Astroflipping. something really good you're making good progress, you're making connections. You finally meet that significant person in your life, that person that just brings stability and inspiration and magic to you, and you screw it up. You diet for like 20 hours in a day, and then at 11 o'clock at night, right before you go to sleep, you eat a banana sundae and then 2 chocolate chip cookies and a bag of chips. And it's like, man, I had done so good up until this point, but now I just wrecked it by completely unraveling in the last moment. And the fact is that what drives these self-sabotaging activities is really the subconscious mind trying to keep you safe. And it typically comes from an underlying misperception, a fundamental misperception that you have about yourself, that you're not worthy of the success, that you are not worthy of the relationship, that you are not worthy of the perfect health in your life. That these things may be available, but they're not for you. They're not for you, they're for other people. And if you look back, and this is what's really interesting is we see a lot of this in Astro, Sub 2, and people who gain these, massive successes early in the gate, and they make, $40, $50, $60,000 in a month, and then all of a sudden we don't see them. They disappear, right? And it's like, hey, what happened to that? What happened to that person? They made like 60 grand, and then they just completely took off. They left. And so I will ask the question, and then we'll start digging in, and we come to find out that that person not only blew through the money, but they felt so much shame about it, and that they made such terrible decisions in the process that they just decided to fold it all in and quit. And there I am looking at their Facebook page, and they're just as miserable. They're even more miserable than they were before they got in, because they tasted it, they touched it, and then they let themselves lose it. How incredibly painful can that be for someone to be able to say to themselves that, yes, you had the ability, that you had the knowledge and you had the tools to get to a goal, but you just weren't able to keep it. And we find this even more prevalent in people who win the lottery. Did you guys know that 70% of the people who win a lottery lose everything and actually go into bankruptcy and even larger financial distress than before they won the lottery, right? So this is obviously a fundamental human problem. And it's not just you, and it's not just me, it's almost everybody who suffers from this. So what I'd really like us to first understand is, I am talking to you. That whoever is sitting there right now, letting their mind wander or trying to distract themselves or saying, this is not about me, this is somebody else, that is not true. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. The one who is thinking he's not pointing at me right now. No, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you because this is actually the biggest barrier right now to your success. It is. And if you could just realize what the pattern was, when does this trigger happen? When are you seeing the onset of the uncomfort, the anxiety, the impulse to destroy, the impulse to unravel, the impulse to act out so that we lose the thing that we gain, so that we lose the positive trigger that put us in that place in the first place. So this fundamental misperception of a lack of worth is, of course, something that we gain in childhood, right? And it typically comes from the relationships that we have with our parents. It could be the relationships that we have in our friend circle, could be the relationships that we have in school. And these misperceptions of who we are become the baseline of how we find ourselves and who we are to ourselves. Because we're too young in that early stage of development, our prefrontal cortexes haven't been fully developed yet. And so our ability to rationalize and think through things aren't really there. And so what we do in that age is we assume that the person, for instance, this is, say you had an abusive parent, right? We would assume that the person who is abusing us is justified, rational, and fundamentally good. And because we're being abused now, what does that make us? It makes us wrong. It makes us bad. It makes us unworthy of that love. It makes us unworthy of the attention. It makes us unworthy of the safety. And as a defense mechanism now, we understand that it is safer. It feels better for us not to play big at all or not to put out any risk, because then the chance of being rejected, abused, hurt won't be in play. So we'd rather not actually play the game because we understand that there's a chance to lose. Now, if you think about this, if I took you to Las Vegas right now and I said, hey, we're going to the roulette table and it's straight 50-50 odds down the line. There's no ones or zeros on this. We're just going to go 50-50, right? Red or black. And I want you to make a decision. Are you going to bet everything you got, mortgage the house, sell the car, kids college tuition, every ounce of savings, 401k, the IRAs, all of it? I want you to put it on one color, and you have the chance to either double your entire worth or lose it all. How many people do you think would actually take that risk? Very few people, if any, because the pain of losing it all would far outweigh the pleasure of doubling it, right? Yet we do this to ourselves in little situations constantly. For instance, you are in Astro and you go up and you crush your KPIs for the month. You end up getting a few deals under contract and you are able to connect on 2 of them. And it makes you $40,000, and it's money that you've never touched before. Now you have this big win, and this big win is producing and creating neurotransmitters and chemicals in your body that are uncomfortable to you. They're uncomfortable because they're not neurotransmitters and chemicals that you're used to feeling, because you don't win that often. In fact, the body is more addicted to the chemicals that are released when you actually prove to yourself that the bad thing that you thought was going to happen happens. And because your body is so used to those chemicals, because your body is so used to the fact that you lose, that success isn't for you, that relationship isn't for you, that good health isn't for you, it's for other people. And so you find yourself pulling the plug. Now, for myself, guys, I'm going to give you an example of where I just went through this myself, because I don't want anybody to feel that I'm sitting here on a soapbox talking about situations and problems that we have without admitting to them for myself. So this lets you all off the hook. If you are feeling a little bit spoken to right now, I'm speaking to you, but I'm speaking to myself as well. You guys know that last week I had an opportunity to sit with and talk to a major publisher in New York. And these guys are one of the top 5 publishing houses in the entire country. You guys want to know what I had thought about the day before? Not going, skipping it. In fact, I was pretty certain that I wasn't going to take that meeting. What's the point? I already published a book. I should probably just fold it all up right now. I've got more than enough money. I could just live off an annuity for the rest of my life, and Nat and I and the kids would all be fine. What am I doing? Why am I putting myself through this stress and pressure? It's not really important, Jamil, that you get a New York Times bestseller under your belt. I know that was one of your goals, but does it really matter? Do you really need it? Are you just being egotistical and arrogant right now, thinking that the things that are inside of your head are important enough to put into a book so that people can read them? How audacious of you. How egotistical of you. How unhumble. These are the things I was telling myself. Why? Well, fear of success is real. Right? And I know that if I do create this book, and when I do create this book, and this book is out into the world and people read it, that I'm going to have to live that. I'm going to have to continuously live this, right? As I'm known as the wholesale guy, when people come up to me, typically they ask me a question about deals and real estate. It's just what it is. And I know that if and when I write this book, people are going to find me and they're going to ask me questions about it, and I'm going to have to live in that. And it's exhausting sometimes. But what brought me to the meeting, a minute late, but what brought me to the meeting was every one of your faces, oddly enough, was the fact that if I didn't do this, that if I didn't put this out there, and that if I did fold it all up and just quit now, that I wouldn't be able to participate in every one of your journey, in every one of your successes. And I know that there's thousands of you counting on it, right? And how selfish of me to be able to make a decision that would impact others because of laziness, fear, and undeniably a lack of self-worth. Happens to me all the time. So first, I want you to have a moment, and I want you to be honest with yourself and think about the last time that you self-sabotaged. Think about the last time that you self-sabotaged. What was the positive trigger? What was the positive trigger? Because it starts there. So what was the good thing that came to you that you decided you were unworthy of, and you pushed it away, or you lost it, or threw it away? What was it? And just take a moment here to write it down if you can. If you're driving, don't write it down. Just think about it. And truthful here, being as honest as you can with yourself is the key, right? The self-awareness and the self-honesty is really integral to this. Where did you self-sabotage? Now you know that positive trigger. You've seen the positive trigger. You understand what that was. There was an emotion that was associated with that. There was an emotion that was attached to that. Right? Now that you've identified the last time and what the positive trigger was, I want you to look at the patterned behavior. Right? So what did you do? What act was it? Did you, procrastinate working on the thing until it was too late so that by the time you actually did the work, it was just half-assed? Did you blow your diet at the end of the day after doing so well and working out and all the right things, eating the right foods, but then just completely lost it at night? Did you burst out in anger at a relationship that was very, very meaningful and useful to you and was very helpful, stable? Did you find a small little thing to attach onto and blow it out of proportion so that you could chase that individual out of your life? What was the pattern? Did you knowingly install somebody into your business that you knew wasn't going to do the things that you were asking them to do, only so that it could be their fault that everything went wrong? I am talking to you. If you think I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. Did you knowingly install somebody into your business that you knew wasn't going to do the things that you were asking them to so that it could break and then you would have somebody to blame? Did you overindulge the night before a big meeting or a big opportunity and just show up to that meeting or not show up to that meeting stinking drunk? I have a friend who had an opportunity to shoot a national commercial, one of the most important shoots of his entire life. And what does he do the day of? He goes and buys a bottle of Xanax and just completely ruined it. And then ended up on a relapse of his drug addiction for an entire year and a half. The positive trigger and then the pattern behavior, right? What is the pattern behavior? Well, now that you understand what this pattern behavior is, you see the impulse, you see how you address that risk of something good happening to you, because the ego is an interesting character, right? It wants to let you know that it's always right. So when you have people in your life that are telling you, oh my God, this wholesale thing, complete scam. Oh, that Pace and Jamil guys, those two, total losers. They're just after your money. Nobody does anything for free out there. The information that they're putting out on their YouTube doesn't even work. No, none of this is real, right? You can hear it when there's other people outside of you saying, and then you can objectively say, hey, you might just be scared, or hey, you might just be saying these things to protect me because you don't want to see me fail. You don't want to see me lose in life, and you love me, okay? But when you're you saying it to yourself, how can you justify it? And when it's being said to you in such a soft voice that it's subconscious and you can't even hear it, yet the pattern behavior is what manifests and what actually shows you that you've sabotaged yourself, it's an even harder thing to digest and metabolize. But now that you've seen this pattern, you know what it is. You can see it from 30,000 feet. You can now understand that when things are going good in your life, and for many of you, your first deal is going to be that positive trigger. That first deal is going to be the positive trigger. It's going to be the thing that says, I can celebrate today. I got my first deal. Let me go get that bottle of Jack Daniels and finish it. There are signs that you are about to self-sabotage. And I found this very interesting talk on YouTube. And I want to share with you these 7 signs of self-sabotage so that you can absolutely identify when you are about to do it. Number 1. One of the signs is that you're being very hard on yourself. Okay, you are saying to yourself things that are disempowering, like, I'm not good looking enough to create the content, and people are going to think I'm ugly. They're going to say mean things to me. I'm too fat to turn on a camera or to see myself on the internet. People are going to make all kinds of fun of me. Or this realtor outreach thing is just too difficult. These people are so intimidating to me. Every time I talk to them on the phone, I feel like I'm going to explode. My heart's going to bump out of my chest. So you get really hard on yourself. I don't have the mind to be able to put these things together. I'm so bad at comping. I hate numbers. I don't want to bother John Galan today. I don't want to bother Jeff today. I don't want to bother Brittany. I don't want to bother anybody with help, asking for help. They're going to just think I'm a moron. So you're too hard on yourself. Number two, you're very quick to point out the negative of any situation, because guys, there's always going to be a negative. Look, if you want to get into something and you want to look at anything, everything is polar. Everything has polarity, meaning that everything you look at, myself included, has both good and bad in it, has both positive and negative in it. You too, right? Everything has both positive and negative in it. Even your food, think about it. It tastes so good coming out, and it's absolute crap when it comes out, isn't it? It's so good when it comes in your mouth, and it's terrible and foul when it leaves you. Everything is polar, guys. Everything has polarity. So when you attach to the negative, when you point out the negative and you say, see, I told you that Jamil guy was full of shit. Oh, see, I told you this wholesale thing was a joke. Yeah, you made $60,000 in your first couple of months of business, but then look what happened. You spent all that money on dumb stuff, and now you're in the hole even more money, and now you're mad at your significant other because they were right, and they're mad at you too. So you're quick to point out the negative. Now understand this, guys, is that you are actually wired to do this, because there was a moment in time in life when there was a saber-toothed tiger outside of the cave, and if you didn't have negative, skewed brain, if that wasn't the way that you were wired, then you would probably miss the tiger who was going to come and eat you, right? You'd become lunch. So don't be angry that this exists in you, just be aware of it. So you're quick to point out the negative. Number three, you procrastinate it right to the end. You just push it all off. So I have this proposal due for the book in 2 weeks. Yesterday, I'm in Canada right now for my niece's baby shower. So I'm here with my daughter and my wife and, and the rest of my family, all staying together in this beautiful place here in Calgary. And yesterday they were all having lunch, and I knew that I had to sit and work. I knew that I had things to do. I had to really get to work, because I'm traveling so much in the next 2 weeks that I really just have to put the work in between times. I got to get it done. And I fought with myself yesterday to sit down and do the work. I could have found every reason to just get up and leave. My goodness, it was terrible. But I did it. I sat down and I did the work. I glued myself to the seat. And I got so engulfed in it that they had to pull me out of it yesterday. But I was so close. I was so close to sabotaging myself. I was so close to just, I'll get it done. It's just a book. They're not expecting anything that good from me right now. This is just the first, now look at this. Look at the disempowering things I'm telling myself to make it mediocre at best. Number four, you're disorganized. You're disorganized. Take a look at your workstation. Take a look at the way that you are managing your leads. Look at your day. Is there a pattern? Are you scheduled? Do you live by the minute? Or are you all over the place? You wake up with a half plan and you never actually follow even the half plan. Kind of just go along, go about it. Always waiting to play lazy ping pong, always giving whatever you have to somebody else so that it can be their fault for not calling you back. Well, Brittany never called me back, so I guess that deal isn't going to work for me, because it's her job. It's her job to pay your bills, because it's her job to comp for you. Oh, Racky never got back to me. Yep. Well, I guess this isn't for me. I guess this community doesn't like me. The disorganization is reflecting what's going on inside of you. Look at your car right now. How many of you, if I opened up your car, would have water bottles all over the place and friggin' banana peels and last week's clothes? Really? That disorganization is reflecting what's going on inside of your head. Again, guys, this isn't to shame you. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just giving you the optics of it so that you can address it. That's it. Because I'm here too. I'm in the same thing. You know how many times I pass by something that's just on the floor? I didn't put it there. Maybe one of my kids did, right? I walk by it and, I can say to myself, hey, I'm going to let them know that they got to do it themselves. So I'm going to pass the buck over to them. I'm going to say, hey, Taylor, Charisma, pick up your shit. Or do I just pick it up and then say to them, hey guys, you left your stuff on the ground. Don't do that. How many times do you take the impulse to do the lazy thing? This happens in work all the time. My goodness. Right? You get some of these staff members or some of these people that they'll ask you just the most mundane question and stop. Oh, I'm waiting for an answer now. Time for me to Watch TikTok. Got to get Nathan Harris has to get back to me here. Oh, if he doesn't get back to me, I guess it's not going to do it. Just going to watch YouTube instead. It's all Nathan's fault. Oh, Renee never sent me the link. How many times do you let that go down? Number 5, you feel like a phony. Ooh, this is a big one because I deal with this all the time, right? I constantly deal with this. But then I have to actually tell myself, no, dude, you really are the best at this. There's not a single human who's done as many transactions as you in this business, not one. Why do you think that some of these other people in these mentorships are going, you see a guy and, you know, one day he's teaching this thing and then the next day he's teaching that thing and then the next day he's teaching that thing and then the next day he's teaching this thing and then he's got this thing and then he's got that thing. And it's like you went from e-com to wholesale to creative finance to novations to fix and flip. That's a phony. To buying and selling businesses. Always just jump to the jump to the jump to the jump. Why? Because you're probably not doing much in any one thing anyways. For instance, if you're in this and you see yourself having shiny object syndrome, right? You get in here and you're like, oh man, this wholesale thing is going to make me money. Ooh, what's over there? Oh, I love this creative finance stuff. Ooh, what's over here? Maybe I should fix and flip. Ooh, what's over here? You know, this drop shipping thing, incredible. Gosh, everybody should do it. Ooh, what's over there? Hey guys, I'm going to start publishing and selling audiobooks from my house. Ooh, what's over here? Hey guys, I'm going to start a YouTube channel that I don't even have to show my face on it. Can you believe that? Ooh, what's over there? Hey, look, cryptocurrency, guys, the best thing since sliced bread. My goodness. Number 6 is the opposite side. You overdo it. You get so driven, you get so myopic on it that you just don't give yourself balance. I'm very much a victim to myself in this. I remember when I first started exercising, it was a few years ago. I worked out so hard I couldn't walk for a week. It was my first day back in the gym. What was I thinking? So you overdo it. You don't give yourself grace. You don't give yourself rest. And then you start telling yourself these things like, oh, money never sleeps. Oh, grind, grind, grind. I got to outwork everybody. Number 7, you get burnout. Feeling burnt out. This is just too much. All this pressure, all this stress, the ups and the downs. Having money, not having money. 50 grand in the bank, negative 5,000 in credit card debt. Goodness, this up and down wave function of my life needs to just straighten out. And again, myself, for me, when this whole Bigger Pockets thing happened with the book and all that, this is what I was like, at that point, I was like, guys, I want to shut the lights out. I'm done. I really had to like take a look at myself and stare at me to really come out of that. I did. I needed the support of my wife, Pace, Josiah. Everybody came to my aid and helped me reevaluate and reconsider my reaction from reaction to response. So my board of directors didn't let me quit. Why? Because my board of directors were elected by me to be my safety net, not to be the whole. So now we know. We've got the signs. We understand the pattern. We understand that it's triggered typically from a positive event. And we also know that we are all victim of it. We all do this. But now that you have identified the pattern, the awareness of that is what is going to transform this. Guys, there's no magic pill. There's no magic meditation. There's no magic visualization. There's no magic any of it. There's hard work in this. I've been meditating 11 years and I still self-sabotage. Find the pattern, disrupt the pattern. That's it. You saw the trigger, you've got the pattern, now you need to disrupt it. And typically the disruption is doing the opposite thing, right? So here's the piece. I want you guys to write a table, okay, with 3 columns. Okay, just draw a table right now if you can. If you're driving again, just think about this, but just do a table. And how you're going to address this is you're going to have in one column, the first column, you're going to write the positive trigger. Okay? positive trigger. In the middle column, you're going to have the negative feeling. You're going to write negative feelings. And then in the third column, the reality is. Okay, because the negative feeling is going to be the lie that you're going to tell yourself. That's going to be the self-sabotaging idea. And then what you're going to do is you're going to reinsert a new reality, a new idea that's going to overtake the negative feeling. Okay, and this is how we're going to transcend. This is how we're going to get out of it. Okay, so let's just say the positive trigger, right? Close a deal, make $20,000. That's the positive thing. Negative feeling, it was a fluke. I got lucky. Right? So you disempower yourself, you discredit yourself. You don't give yourself the credit of actually having completed the thing and doing the thing. No, you make it a chance encounter that you won. So what would the reality be? I'm good at this. I'm actually good at this. Let's just have another trigger, right? Say you're in a relationship right now and things are kind of going a little messy. So this person in your life shows affection. They show affection towards you. Maybe they say, I love you. Maybe they give you a gift. Maybe they do something that makes you feel good. The negative feeling, right? What would be the negative thing there? They're compensating for some terrible thing they did. I got this gift because he cheated. She's only with me for the money. What's the reality? This person loves me. I'm lovable. Somebody compliments you, says that you're doing well, right? You get a good compliment from somebody. The negative feeling that would be associated with that, you're a liar, you're fooling people, you're making stuff up, you're a complete fraud. What's the reality? That people are actually kind and they enjoy connecting to you. Find the pattern, find the lie, insert a new reality. Simple. Some of the most incredible things that we do in life have the most simple ways to fix them. Well, there you have it, guys. You are a treacherous creature. But the good news is that now we have some tools that we can use to help us avoid putting ourselves in these terrible situations. And if you've ever had self-sabotage ruin a really good thing for you, do me a favor and leave me a comment below. I was very vulnerable in this video. I showed you guys and told you guys a lot about myself and things that I've struggled with, but I'd like to hear from you. Let me get to know you a little bit better. Leave me a comment, and if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel, because if you don't, I'll sabotage you.